So you want to make the floor break similar to what you see here, but you don't know how. Well, don't worry, I got you. We'll use the default cube as our test subject. Create a plane which we'll use as our floor. Go into edit mode and extrude inner to the area you exactly want the break to happen. Select this face and hit P to separate it. Now we're going to add a solidify modifier. Select the thickness you want, which will end up being the thickness of the pieces. To make the floor and the pieces the same thickness or vice versa, we select the object with the modifier last, leaving it as active. Go to Objects, Link Transfer Data, and Copy Modifiers. Now we're going to use Cell Fracture. You might have it already, but just to be sure, go into Preferences, go to Add-ons, and make sure the Cell Fracture add-on is turned on. Now Cell Fracture has a bunch of options, but to streamline the process, make a little impact drawing with the annotation pencil like so. Now we're going to apply the Cell Fracture. Don't worry about all these options, because for the tutorial, we're just going to click Annotation Pencil and click OK. You can use the other options for some cool personal effects, like the inside material being different and recursion, but we're gonna gloss over it for now. Feel free to dig deeper to your will. If your computer hasn't died, don't forget to save, because if your computer hasn't crashed yet, Blender will. As an added step, select all your pieces, go to edit mode, press M, and merge by distance. This will greatly reduce the amount of geometry being processed and will help your runtime overall. Now we're gonna make 3 collections. The names will make sense later on. Cell Fracture didn't delete the original geometry it fractured, but don't delete it because we're going to use it later on. Select all the pieces you want to break. Don't select all the pieces from the fracture because you still want the shattered edge look. We're going to put all these into active. Select one piece and apply a rigid body, ensuring that it's set to active. Now we're going to select all the other pieces in active, ensuring that the piece with the already existing rigid body is the active part of this selection. Go to Object, Rigid Body, and select Copy from Active. Now, if we're gonna make any tweaks, we're gonna have to ensure that all the other objects have tweaks as well. So I'd advise you for now, put it as a quick favorite, and boom. Now all the pieces fall to the ground. Now that we have all the pieces falling, we don't want them to fall through instantly. So now we're gonna add a helper. See, it makes sense now, innit? Make a cube and place it under the pieces. We're actually gonna make 4 cubes. The idea is for the cubes to move apart, creating a caving in effect once we animate them, like so. As a result, we're gonna add rigid bodies to all of these cubes too, but instead we're gonna have them all set to passive and animated. And now, all the pieces will land on the cube. Wait, okay, never mind. I'm leaving this part in to show that when working with rigid bodies, a lot of things can actually go wrong. If while following this tutorial, you still end up with an error, then please comment down below and I'll try and help you out to the best of my ability. I'd also like to direct you to this video over here. A lot of the methods in this video are actually quite similar to the ones in this one, with a few tweaks here and there, and simplification on my part. So this video might actually be in service to you. The link for this video is in the description. And around that area you'll see a nice subscribe and like button, which I hope you don't forget to click. Stick around to the end though, as I give some solutions if you have any collision errors at this point. As for this piece, it just turned out that the piece wasn't pushed far enough on the y-axis to be picked up. And yeah, the cubes are clipping now, but they won't collide with each other. And they're not going to be seen by the render anyway. We're going to make the animation now. Select the cubes and bring them apart like so. No need to be exact or anything, just as the cave-in open motion can be achieved. Okay, that doesn't look too bad, but the pieces still go through the other pieces on the top floor. So we're gonna select all the remaining pieces from the fracture, put them in the passive collection, and, you guessed it, add passive rigid bodies to all of them, using the same copy rigid body option we added to quick favorites. But now all the pieces fall kinda slowly. That's because all the pieces are so close together, the passive bodies are continuously colliding and sort of holding up the pieces. If only there were a way to push it down. We're gonna make a new helper, a sphere that's gonna be our meteor. Scale it up to the desired size and make a little animation where it pushes through the crack on the floor like so. And we're gonna add a passive rigid body and set it to animate. And now we have this. If your PC isn't dying like mine, then it'd look pretty good, although we can now just bake it to fix performance. But now, there's just one problem. Even before the ground breaks, you can see the cracks. How do we fix that? You can try the link constraint, but I have an even easier method. Remember that original geometry Cell Fracture didn't delete? We're gonna use that now. All we're gonna do is set keyframes for its visibility like so. It might take a little time to time it right, as times 2. But when you do, it's not even noticeable that they're two completely different objects. I did a little lighting here and some compositing to make a cool little render, But now we have this, a breakable flaw setup that can be applied to any of your scenes. About the collision errors talked about previously, here's some debugging that you can do. Blender might just be bugging out. Delete the rigid body world and add it back to refresh it. Close Blender entirely and reopen it. Change either the cubes or the pieces to mesh instead of convex hull. Many sources actually say to use mesh instead, but it just never worked well for me. It might for you though. Lastly, you might want to fiddle with the collision margin option in the bottom. Particularly, try and decrease it and see if your results improve. And again, the video mentioned earlier goes way deeper into it, so I highly recommend you check it out. That's it for the flaw break though. Thanks for watching, hope it helped. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.